Okay, so now that we're done with the posability, I think it's only necessary that we go over the next thing, which is gimmicks. Yes, if you've seen the intro or have not picked up the clue, let's transform this guy. Did I say transform? Yes, I did say transforming. So we're going to kind of go over the tutorial on how to transform this guy, which is actually a rather easy process, but there's a lot of things you have to make sure of. So with that being said, let's get started. So first up, you can literally start pretty much anywhere, but where I like to start is first up by lightly pulling on the shoulder and making sure you have your hand secured right here. Give this thing a little tug and it should be like, there you go. Although I would recommend going a little lighter. I probably went a little too hard. And then you're going to want to fold this down, and it does look creepy, but work with me. Then you should see this little thing. We're going to come back to that, literally just like in a few seconds. You want to take your thumb, and you see this big black circle. You want to give this thing a little, actually, yeah, I think it'd rather be right up here. You should see a little tiny little screw. See right there where this finger is touching? Give that a little push, and the same thing should happen. Now, this is delicate. You want to gently pull this down and forward and make sure that this follows. This is actually kind of complex. You want to pull this down and you'll see this little nub. We'll come back to that. And you want to fold these two. Now, the reason I suggest you fold these two gently is because I've heard a lot of warping stories about these, the material of rubber that they chose. It's very foldable. So that being said, you just want to fold it, kind of pull it back into place and make sure this black part right here locks everything up. I think this is more optional, but you'll see this black little nub, which actually goes into this little part. However, I feel like that's either optional or a mistake. So I haven't seen anyone really point that out. Next, we're going to go something a bit more simplistic. You want to take these two gigantic rib cages. I mean, they're literally in Godzilla's ribs, and it looks like a cage. So you want to pull that out, and then pull out this little blue compartment. Snap this part back together, and make sure everything's all aligned like that. Same thing on the other side. You want to pull that out, snap everything back together. Now, what you're going to want to do is come around to the back and peg in each and every single set of dorsal fins. The right side, or Godzilla's right side, has the pegs, and this side, the left side, has the peg holes. They're really easy to do, and honestly, it's rather flexible material, so you could, it is a little bit more durable than you expect. However, I would not recommend bashing this thing into the ground as if this thing is like a dog toy or something. Next, you want to come up here, and you might think that these dorsal fins have no way of like opening and closing, right? Well, you're right. Except, you want to give this thing a little rotation, and then, there you go. These actually have their own painted and sculpted on set of kind of rib cages, more like add-ons to here. So it definitely looks the part, and it kind of extends to the overall look. Next, you're going to want to, I honestly would recommend going from the body downward. So you're going to see this little nub, and then you're going to want to give this thing a tiny little tug and pull it upward. Same thing for this side. And voila. So keep in mind everything kind of snaps together. Not really. I mean, it kind of clicks, but not like in a secure way, kind of like Kong. Next, you're going to want to come over to the forearm, the left forearm, and you're going to want to pull this little switchblade out. Keep in mind this is only on this side and not this side. So if you feel like you're mistaking something, it's not. You're not mistaking. It's just on one side. Next, you want to come down to the thigh, flip this around, pull this out, unlock this little switchblade like the forearm, give that kind of like lock that in place so it's a bit, there we go. Flip this part around and reveal this little set of missiles. Come around to this part, flip this around, and then rinse and repeat. Flip, flip, switch, and click. And the last bit, we have the tail, which we have a little bit of a nub right here. You want to lock it open. And here we have this little blue switch blade, which you're just going to want to pull it out straight. And then close it back up, like that. And then here we have a little switch blade that has a little hinge joint. And you can pretty much swivel whatever you want. Keep in mind it's not directly centered. It's a bit more towards Godzilla's right. Personally, I just like to keep it like straight up because it kind of looks the best. And here you go. You have your battle, your Titan Tech Godzilla ready for battle, filled with missiles, blades, and armor galore. And I still gotta say this: is this really considered armor? The only thing that's protecting anything is this protecting Godzilla's dorsal fins, which that's why the dorsal fins have that mold instead of the heat ray Godzilla mold like this. It's just a more dulled down version of it. But yes, when everything's all said and done, this is what your Godzilla should look like. Now, do I personally think that this is great? Yes, I do. But there's one thing that I feel like is missing. When I pair him next to my Kong, I can't help but feel like it's missing something. Still can't figure out what it is? Let me give you a little better hint. Still can't figure it out? Well, it should be obvious. Where is Godzilla's weapon? Now, hold up. I know. He literally has switchblades, missiles, and spikes galore. But where is his equivalent to the axe? Like, I know Godzilla doesn't use any weapon in the movie, aside from his heat ray. But I personally feel like this could have been a great opportunity to make a bigger and better beam effect. Not to say this beam effect is trash or anything, but look at the upgrade Kong had. He went from this to this. Sure, Godzilla's armor is great, but think of what they could have done for the beam. I mean, Mega Heat Ray Godzilla got the missiles. This Godzilla got the totally not Bandai Tamashii Nation SH Monster Arts 2014 Heat Ray Godzilla, huh? Spitfire Godzilla, whatever you want to call him. But I feel like they could have gave us like a much bigger, better spiral beam. I mean, if I know that's not accurate to the movie, but is anything like this accurate to the movie? No, it isn't. But I really feel like that this was a huge missed opportunity to give Godzilla a bigger spiral heat beam, because we gave Kong a much bigger and better axe, debatably. So, little bit left out for Godzilla, huh? Or we could have just gotten a bigger radio tower. Probably would have preferred the beam, though. And yes, if anyone's wondering, it won't directly fit into Godzilla's mouth. However, it has enough clearance room to where it can actually, like, be finagled into Godzilla's mouth. Like this. It's a loose fit still, like this. You can kind of swing it right there. You go. It's because Godzilla doesn't have the hole in the back of the throat like his counterpart does. But ironically enough, now that I'm talking about it, Kong can hold the beam better than Godzilla can. Look. Swing it around, it's not coming out. Oh, well, there, it came out, but my point still remains. And for the final topic of this video, I will go ahead and say it. There has been a lot of speculation that this Godzilla is the remnant of a certain scrapped Godzilla figure that had everybody talking. The Godzilla that was revealed at a Brazilian, I think, Comic-Con? Or was it in Mexico? It was either in Brazil or Mexico, one of the two. And it showed Godzilla with serpentine armor. The Mega Godzilla figure with the missiles was originally going to come with armor.